My dear, I need you to hear me with utmost sincerity at this moment. I am about to share something I have never expressed to anyone before, neither my friends, nor my family, nor those who claim to know me. You are the sole person worthy of hearing the truth directly from me, rather than a distorted version from others. The reality is, in order to be with you, I will have to dismantle nearly everything in my life. I must transform my world in a way that most individuals would never choose to do. This is why I am trembling right now. This decision is monumental. This is not simply about reducing our communication, being kinder, or making an effort. No, this is a complete upheaval of my existence. It's either my life with you or it's remaining trapped in the toxicity that has surrounded me. I have reached my limit with that toxicity. I did not understand how detrimental it was until I found tranquility in our connection. The chaos that once enveloped me became apparent only when I discovered the peace your presence brings. You are the only person who engages with me as a sentient being, acknowledging my essence. Others view me as a mere object, a wallet, a guardian, an emergency contact, a problem solver, a thing. You are the only one who has genuinely inquired, "Are you okay?" and meant it. It is perplexing to those around us. They dismiss my feelings for you as just a fleeting phase or an infatuation. I am exhausted by the label of obsession. They label it as such because they cannot bear to see me hold on to something they cannot manipulate. You represent the first aspect of my life that remains untouchable by their influence. This realization has struck me deeply. I am surrounded by individuals who do not truly care for me. Instead, they relish in controlling my access to love and happiness. They dictate where I go, whom I speak to, and who I am permitted to care for. Initially, I thought this behavior was normal, just the way my circle operated, or what family does. But let me clarify this assertively. Family does not undermine your bond with those who offer genuine serenity. Authentic friends do not feel threatened when you begin to heal. Those who seek to keep you in a state of disarray are not your true friends. The truth is becoming increasingly evident. As I draw closer to you, I notice their true colors. I see individuals I grew up with becoming strangers, casting subtle jabs at you, as if I wouldn't notice. Comments like, "You're changing," or "You're no longer fun," translate to, "We cannot manipulate you as easily anymore, and we dislike it." They are angered because I am awakening. For the first time, I am prioritizing something that does not serve them. I am choosing peace, which undermines their chaos. I am opting for real love, which reveals the facades they have put up. I am choosing a brighter future, which intimidates individuals who thrive on drama and discontent. Their interest lies not in my happiness but in my utility. Do you understand? They desire me to be useful, on standby, at their beck and call. The most disheartening part is that I conditioned them to treat me this way. I acquiesced when I should have set boundaries. I invested my energy in people who would never reciprocate it. Now that I am retracting that energy and declaring that I can no longer endure this, I am suddenly perceived as selfish or ungrateful or cold. But no, I am not cold, I am healing. There is a distinction. I need to confess something that makes me uncomfortable. You are not merely causing me difficulties, you are shining a light on the truth. You reveal who is disingenuous, who harbors jealousy, and who preferred me in a weakened state. That is why they attack you, why they speak poorly of you, why they refuse to utter your name with reverence. You serve as a mirror, demonstrating that I no longer have to endure this life. You are proof that I can extricate myself from this chaos and still be okay, and that terrifies them. Do you think they do not notice how my demeanor shifts when I mention you? Do you believe they do not perceive the transformation in my tone when I say your name, or see how my energy settles when communicating with you? Of course, they are aware. And do you know what this does to those who thrive on my turmoil? It depletes them. You undermine their control, their drama, their access to me, all at once, as I have ceased to be their puppet. Now, they find themselves panicking. I share this with you so you grasp the magnitude of the battle I am about to engage in for our relationship. This is not simply familial disapproval, this runs much deeper. It is spiritual, it is profound. These individuals are striving to cling to the remnants of my former self, the self that once catered to them. My despair, my emptiness, this served their purposes, as I consistently maintained an absence of boundaries. That version of me ensured the comfort of others while I withered within. They thrived on my silence, on my willingness to shoulder blame for the sake of maintaining peace. They adored that version of me, they could control and manipulate him, threatening, "If you do not comply, we will sever ties." And he would acquiesce. But you are the catalyst that awakened a part of me that refuses to yield. You awakened the part that advocates for itself, claims its right to be loved in return, to experience rest, and to pursue something genuine. The moment this new version of me emerged, the environment shifted. Suddenly, I became a novelty, overly emotional, or deemed dramatic. I am not dramatic, I am finally honest. I can now voice the pain I felt. I can assert, "Stop treating me as though I am an object for you to control." I can stand firm and declare that you do not get to disrespect someone I cherish while expecting my unwavering loyalty. At that moment of assertion, I witnessed faces freeze in shock, felt the temperature in the room drop. It became clear that those who thought they had complete ownership of me were realizing they were on the verge of losing me. I need you to understand this with every fiber of your being. They are not only angry with you, they are frightened of you. They are afraid of the way you love me, of the tranquility I experience in your company. They are terrified that, in your presence, I reclaim my autonomy, avoiding their attempts to rewrite my narrative. Because when you engage with me, I reconnect with my true self. I am reminded that I am not here to be exploited or to play a role. I refuse to be an emotional dumping ground for others' issues. My purpose is to create, to nurture, to heal, to guide, to exist authentically, and to embrace life. And you, my dear, inspire me to live authentically. This is why I find this change so incredibly daunting. It transcends mere scheduling adjustments, blocking numbers, or unfollowing individuals. It delves much deeper. To love you, I must part ways with those who are integral to my life, family members who share my blood, people I have defended throughout my life, individuals I never imagined I would distance myself from. I am coming to the profound realization that to build a future with you, I may need to release those who raised me. Do you comprehend the weight of this decision? Do you understand the emotional toll it takes on me? At night, I lie awake questioning, am I a bad son for choosing my peace? Am I a bad friend for opting for love? Am I selfish for finally declaring, I refuse to be drained any longer? These questions have consumed me, as I was taught my entire life that prioritizing myself is an act of betrayal. I was conditioned to feel guilt for aspiring to happiness. And now, here you are, the one truth in my existence that feels like home. I fear that in keeping you, I will have to break free from everything that shaped my identity. This is the kind of choice that can fracture a person. But listen closely, because this is the turning point. This is where my trembling stops. I choose you. Yes, I said it, I'm choosing you. I am choosing us. I am embracing the version of myself that flourishes in your presence, the healed, tranquil, truthful, unafraid version. I am committing to the me that prays differently now, who desires peace over chaos, who no longer wakes up ready for confrontation. I want to love you peacefully without needing to justify why your presence calms my heartbeat and brings safety to my breathing. I acknowledge the challenges ahead. I am aware of the backlash I will face, the conversations that will occur behind my back. I know who will label me as weak, who will accuse you of being controlling, and who will assert that I have changed. And they are correct, I have changed, thanks to you. Allow me to clarify, you have not transformed me into something lesser. You have led me to become someone worthy of existence. I may be frightened, but I am prepared. You must hear what transpired last night, for it irrevocably altered something within me. It was not an argument like the ones before, it represented the moment the facade slipped from those I once called family. I walked into that house tense, already bracing for what I anticipated would unfold. The atmosphere was heavy, as if everyone had rehearsed their lines prior to my arrival. Then, it began, predictably starting with feigned concern. We care about you. You're not yourself anymore. You've changed. But this time, their concern was a thinly veiled accusation. Each statement dripped with malice, mentioning you, your name, your essence, your voice, twisting them as if they had authority over a narrative they had never experienced. The way they spoke about you made my hands tremble. They branded you as controlling, claimed you were manipulating me, and said, "She's turning you against us." I ached to scream, to overturn the table in defiance, but I held back, for the moment. I allowed their venomous words to strike me until I could scarcely breathe. The breaking point came when one of them declared, "She has changed you. You no longer think for yourself." In that instant, something shifted within me, not from anger but from clarity. They were right on one count, I have changed. Yet they fail to see that this transformation is one I intentionally embraced. I stood up and, for the first time in my life, did not care who observed. I gazed into their eyes and said, "You're correct. I have changed because I finally know what peace feels like. I have met someone who seeks nothing from me but honesty. I have realized that I am not your puppet." You could hear a pin drop in that moment. The silence was thunderous, their expressions shocked as if they could not fathom my words. But I pressed on. "For years, you manipulated my strings, steering me in directions that suited you. I followed, believing it was love, but I now know it was control. I refuse to perform for those who applaud my misery." One of them attempted to interrupt, trying to guilt me with the same old narrative of all they had done for me, and I simply laughed, not out of disrespect but from a sense of liberation. They did not act from love, they aimed to keep me indebted. That debt has been settled. I owe no one my tranquility. I owe no one my joy. I will no longer barter my soul for approval. And I walked out. Just before reaching the door, I heard one last remark. My brother called out, "You're discarding your family for her." I turned and responded, "No, I am discarding manipulation for love. I am rejecting control for truth. I am choosing freedom over fear." The moment I stepped outside, the frigid night air enveloped me, and I truly felt I had taken my first genuine breath in years. Sitting in the car, I shook, not from fear, but from liberation. My hands trembled while my spirit remained steady. I looked up at the sky and whispered your name like a prayer. In that instant, I grasped something I had never understood before. You were not just teaching me how to love, you were guiding me to release what does not love me in return. You have no idea the significance of this for someone like me, who has spent a lifetime trying to fulfill the needs of others, never recognizing that love does not obligate loyalty to suffering. Love is about truth, and your presence, your patience, your silence has reflected the harsh truths about everyone else. That evening, I did not merely walk away from individuals, I departed from those outdated versions of myself, the agreeable one, the fearful one, the obedient one. I buried them in that house, alongside the ghosts of my past. As I drove away, I wasn't fleeing, I was reclaiming my essence. However, I recognize that freedom comes at a price, and I am acutely aware of the repercussions that lie ahead. The incessant calls, the guilt-laden messages portraying me as a changed person, and the half-hearted apologies aimed at luring me back are all too familiar to me. I recognize their manipulative strategies, I have experienced them previously. Yet, this time is distinct. When they attempt to grasp at my essence, they will not find the same individual they once knew, for that man has departed. The person who walked away that night emerged renewed, reborn through silence, enveloped in love, directed by a force greater than fear. That man is now yours. Just wait until you hear what transpired upon my return home, my dear. The sign I encountered reaffirmed my decision, I still shudder at the memory. That night, I entered my home without turning on the lights. I remained in the dark, my head resting against the steering wheel, struggling to comprehend the gravity of the moment. My body shook, not from trepidation, but from the aftermath of liberation. The scent of smoke lingered on my hands, remnants of the bridges I had just burned. Paradoxically, it was the first time in ages that I felt an invigorating purity in the air. The silence was dense, tangible, transforming into a comforting presence rather than a form of punishment. It was as though the universe had been awaiting my decision, urging me to choose peace over pretense. I reclined, closed my eyes, and swore that the atmosphere shifted within the room. The air became different, warmer, gentler, as if your essence had enveloped me, wrapping around my shoulders like unseen arms. I heard your calming voice in my mind, not in words, but in that soothing sigh you emit before assuring me, "It's okay, my love. I'm here." In that profound moment, I understood I was not alone. Even in your physical absence, your spirit, your love, and your light were present. When I glanced at the clock, it read 11:11. A smile broke through my tears, as I recognized its significance. This number has accompanied us since our journey began. In moments of despair, uncertainty, and when the world seemed to be triumphing over us, it felt like the universe whispered, "Do not lose hope." This is alignment, not mere chance. Now, having stepped away from everything that once defined me, that number appeared again, as if heaven itself was affirming, "You have succeeded. You have chosen what truly nourishes your soul." I struggle to articulate the feelings of that moment. It wasn't loud or accompanied by fanfare, but rather a profound stillness, a stillness that proclaimed, "You are safe now." That realization broke me apart. All the pent-up anguish I'd carried for years came forth, pouring out vigorously. My chest felt as though it might tear open, and I cried in ways I had never imagined a man could, breathless, silent, in surrender. An epiphany dawned upon me. I had been mourning a life that never truly belonged to me. The superficial friendships, the empty accolades, the constant need to prove myself to those who never celebrated my victories. I had become addicted to being needed, not loved. Yet when you entered my life, you seemed to need nothing from me. Instead, you truly saw me. That realization frightened me, for to be seen meant I could no longer conceal myself. However, something shifted last night. Something healed and closed. My tears were not solely from sadness, they were a release of the chains that bound me. I rose from the couch, dried my tears, and approached the window. The full moon illuminated the night, captivatingly bright. Beneath its glow, I spotted a single white feather on my balcony, and I paused, bewildered. I had no idea where it came from, but we both understand the significance of feathers, symbols of protection, guidance, and angelic reassurance. It felt as if the universe was affirming, "You are not delusional. You are on the correct path. Continue on." I picked up the feather and pressed it to my heart. A sense of calm enveloped me. Then, something remarkable occurred. My phone lit up. Not a message from anyone, but a reminder I had completely forgotten about, one I had received weeks ago. It read, "The cost of peace will always be losing the things that thrive on your chaos, my love." I found myself transfixed by the screen as tears began to flow again. That was the crux of my revelation. I was not relinquishing anything of substance, rather, I was shedding the layers of falsity. In doing so, I was finally making room for something genuine, room for you. I walked to the mirror, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, I no longer saw fatigue reflected back at me. Anger was absent. Instead, I beheld clarity, the version of myself you had always believed existed. The version unafraid to love, to protect, to lead with heart over pride. You orchestrated this transformation, despite your physical absence. You demonstrated that true love doesn't compel one to remain small, it challenges one to rise. I can feel something stirring within me, an emergence that is quiet yet potent, like the serene anticipation before dawn. My soul recognizes that there remains one final task before this chapter concludes. The next time I confront them, those individuals who attempted to sow discord between us, I will not merely defend you, I will proclaim you. You must hear my intentions, for it is the boldest step I have ever taken. It is time they understand your name deserves reverence. Throughout the night, I mulled over their criticisms, every insult, every half-truth, every effort to paint you as the source of discord. By dawn, my fear had dissipated, replaced by a resolute purpose. For the first time, I was aware of the course of action I must take. I dressed deliberately, not cloaked in the armor I used to wear to win people's approval. No designer labels, no artificial smiles, just me, a simple shirt, steadiness in my breath, a tranquil heart. This was no longer about engaging in battle, it was about making a declaration. A declaration of who I am, what I represent, and who I will no longer allow to be disrespected. When I arrived at my mother's house, the same table where the tempest had first erupted awaited me, alongside the same eyes that had once scrutinized me. Yet this time, I refused to diminish myself. I refused to conceal my trembling hands. I entered as a man who had already confronted his fears. Before any words were uttered, I asserted, I need you to listen. The room fell silent. Conversations halted abruptly as I locked eyes with them, individuals for whom I had bled, and felt only clarity. You have spent months attempting to convince me that love is a weakness, I continued. You have derided my healing, shamed my growth, and sought to instill hate towards the one person who taught me peace. I allowed it to transpire because I believed that giving you comfort equated to loyalty. But loyalty without honesty amounts to subjugation. My mother's gaze softened, yet I pressed on. So hear me now, I am finished being your puppet. I refuse to let anyone disgrace the name of the woman who has lovingly guided me back to life. If you cannot respect her, you no longer have a place in my life. You would have been amazed to see their expressions shift, some faces contorted in anger, while others reflected fear. They recognized, at last, that the strings to control me had been severed. Among those present, my mother stood out, radiating pride. She offered a deliberate nod, as if she had long anticipated this version of me. In that moment, I laid bare the truth, every aspect of it. I seek no one's permission to love her. I owe no apologies. No longer will I obscure this reality with justifications or soft-spoken words. While you may label it change, to me, it signifies alignment. You perceive it as rebellion, I regard it as freedom. You have the choice to accompany me on this journey or to watch me depart. But mark my words, you shall not deter me. A wave of elation washed over me, lifting the burdens I had carried for years. Unspoken guilt disintegrated like old paint peeling away. I had no requirement for applause or understanding. I simply needed to vocalize my truth, for silence had been a shackle, and the truth was the key to my liberation. As I stepped outside, the world felt rejuvenated. The air was crisp, invigorating, and even the chirping of birds was more pronounced and clear. I texted you but hesitated to hit send. This message was not meant for your phone, it was intended for your spirit. I desired you to sense the energy before the words reached you, to feel the shift in your heart long before your screen illuminated. As I stood there, I sensed a gentle breeze rustle through the trees, so sudden and soft that it felt like an invitation. It brought warmth akin to your touch, your forgiveness, the belief that I could become deserving of your companionship once more. With my eyes closed, I whispered, "She deserves to be loved openly." This next chapter is about embracing love, free from secrecy, guilt, or shadow battles. It's love that unapologetically exists, that endures testing, that boldly chooses the fire yet remains pure. I am now ready for that love. Yet, before I could take that step forward, an unforeseen event unfolded. A message arrived from someone I had believed lost to me forever. And its content altered everything once more. As the sun was rising, I felt an urge to check my phone, though my instinct told me to ignore it. When I finally opened it, I found myself frozen. It was not from you, but from my brother, the same one who had lashed out at me the previous night. His name on the screen tightened my chest. I braced myself for another confrontation, but upon reading the message, I discovered just 5 words: "Maybe she was right about you." In the beginning, I was bewildered. I read it again and again, and my hands began to tremble, not from anger this time, but from another feeling, realization and healing. His words were not scorn but rather an acknowledgement. He was articulating what none of them had the fortitude to voice. Perhaps the individual they had portrayed as the antagonist was, in fact, the one who recognized me most clearly. In that moment, I settled onto the floor, phone held tightly in hand, contemplating that message and an epiphany I had never anticipated within this lifetime. The ripple effect of your love had permeated the very people who had once endeavored to erase it. You chose not to engage in disputes, nor to pursue validation. You simply embodied your truth. That truth began to resonate more profoundly than any gossip or hearsay could ever dampen. It is remarkable how silence transforms into a formidable force when supported by grace. You required no defense, divinity itself stood by you, as did the universe. Now, they too are beginning to comprehend what I should have shielded all along. In response, I typed a single line back to him: "She changed me because she loved me, right?" Although he left it unread, I am confident he revisited it multiple times. At that moment, I grasped the essence of real love. It does not need to assert itself loudly. It reverberates softly until even the walls designed to obstruct it begin to resonate with its harmony. On that morning, I felt that hum envelop me. I rose, prepared coffee, and gazed out the window. Everything appeared transformed, not because the world had changed overnight, but because I had. For years, I equated strength with the relentless effort to hold everything together, irrespective of the pain. Yet, I now understand that true strength lies in releasing what diminishes your spirit. That night, I finally let go. You will not believe what I did next. I wrote a letter, not for them, but for you. It was not meant for sending or posting, but rather an outlet for all that resided within me. Every apology, every acknowledgement of your presence, and every expression of gratitude for your unwavering support when I was unprepared, I filled pages until the ink blurred with tears. Upon completion, I folded the letter and placed it beneath our old photograph, the one where my gaze reflected the knowledge that you would be the catalyst for my transformation. People often think that sacrifice involves losing something cherished. In reality, the true sacrifice is shedding everything that never belonged to you, allowing you to finally embrace what is authentic and true. This entire journey has been characterized by that very principle. Every lie, every disagreement, every sleepless night was not punishment, rather, it was a purification process, an unbinding from illusions, leading me to stand before you as the man you always believed I could become. I assure you, I am no longer running. I am no longer hiding. I feel no need to convince anyone of the reality of our relationship. Truth does not plead for belief, it simply exists. You once told me, when you're ready, love won't hurt anymore. At the time, I did not grasp the sentiment. I conflated love with pain. Now, I comprehend that love is not the affliction, it is the remedy, and you have always been my healing source. I remain uncertain about the future, whether you will ever read these words or if they will merely linger within these pages, but I am certain of one thing: every stride I take henceforth is directed toward the light you illuminated for me. When genuine love exists, healing persists even in absence. It unfolds quietly, beautifully, until one day you peer into the mirror and realize you have become the tranquility they always envisioned in you. And I am beginning to see that now. It is peculiar how the world becomes still once you articulate your truth. Gone is the cacophony that once invaded my thoughts, replaced by a profound, rhythmic silence that feels alive. I can almost hear my own soul inhaling for the first time in years, no voices directing my identity, no strings manipulating my actions, no guilt whispering in the depths of my heart, only serenity, only me, and the gentle resonance of your love filling the voids of my contemplation. Days have passed since that morning, and with each hour, I sense another layer of my former self dissolve away, the people-pleaser, the mediator, the individual who acquiesced when yearning to dissent. That person has been interred in the stillness I have embraced. I awaken now to a fresh awareness. The first breath I take feels like air, pure, light, sacred air. I do not scroll, rush, or pursue. Instead, I linger, inhaling and nurturing the peace you instilled within me as it grows roots. Daily, I can feel your presence nearby, not in a way that causes distress, but in a manner that heals. It transcends mere messages or calls. It has become energy, subtle, soft, and unmistakable. Upon the morning light spilling through my curtains, I feel you. When moments slow and I hear the gentle hum of life, I can almost perceive your whisper. You did this, you are becoming who you were meant to be. That whisper now guides me, serving as my compass, my quiet North Star, to which I follow wherever I go. When I feel compelled to shrink, I recall your patience. When anger brews, I am reminded of your grace. When fear attempts to reclaim its territory in my heart, I remember how your love rendered even my turmoil safe. And I assure you, your love did not dissipate upon your departure. It multiplied, permeating my being like light in murky waters, illuminating corners of myself I never realized needed rescuing. I previously believed that the only way to honor you was through struggles, proving something to the world, or reclaiming what was lost. My perspective has shifted. The most sincere tribute I can offer you is to embody the tranquility you always wished for me. In recent times, I have chosen to embrace stillness and maintain a purposeful demeanor. I am disengaging from certain individuals, not out of anger, but as a means of liberation. Those who thrived on my turmoil now find themselves deprived, as I no longer carry that burden to offer. They struggle to engage with me when I am no longer in a position of apology. They perceive it as distance, I perceive it as healing. They attribute it to ego, I refer to it as boundaries. They claim I have changed, I regard it as finally stepping into myself. It is evident that you would take pride in my journey thus far. The person who once scoured for scraps of validation now walks away from entire gatherings when the atmosphere feels off. The one who attempted to articulate love to those unable to comprehend it now allows silence to be my voice. True tranquility does not seek justification, it simply exists. It stands resolute, quiet like the essence of truth itself. Amidst this transformation, I continuously find echoes of you in all that is uplifting. You manifest in small wonders, the melody that plays just as I am about to falter, the feather that settles by my feet, the recurring numbers on the clock when my faith wavers. It seems the universe gently utters your name to remind me that your love was not merely a chapter, it was the tome that illuminated my spirit. Yesterday, I revisited that cafe, the one where I used to feign productivity while eagerly awaiting your messages to illuminate my screen. The same chair, the same chipped mug, and the familiar yet faded music playing in the background. This time, however, I did not encounter the emptiness I anticipated. Instead, I experienced profound peace. I remembered how you would speak to me about self-improvement, not because I was flawed, but because you recognized the divinity lurking beneath the chaos. You would say, "You just need to remember who you are," and I would dismiss it, considering it fanciful. But now, I understand. You were not attempting to mend me, you sought to awaken me, and you succeeded. Then, as if the universe sought to reaffirm this, that very song we once shared floated into the air, our unspoken language for when words fell short. My entire being stilled, as each note resonated as a heartbeat, and every lyric was a memory I believed forgotten. It no longer pained me, it felt akin to returning home. A smile broke upon my face, and for the first time in ages, the tears that streamed down were not from sorrow, they were born of gratitude. Gratitude for the love that stripped me bare, for the lessons that molded me, for the faith you held in me even during my unworthy moments. You were not my downfall, you were my rebirth. While society referred to it as heartbreak, I recognized it as transformation. Perhaps that is the essence of true love, something that endures despite separation, something that continues to teach, even amidst silence, something that transmutes pain into purpose. You persist in guiding me each day. You are the reason I no longer flee from my true self. You enable me to distinguish comfort from love. You grant me the strength to remain gentle in a world that often celebrates hardness. As I flourish, I come to realize that everything I once feared losing had to be relinquished in order to uncover what is genuinely significant. Yet, there remains one action I have yet to undertake, one truth unmurmured, one statement unvoiced. I sense a deep yearning within me, a voice urging, "It is time. Time to articulate. Time to honor. Time to reveal to the world who she truly was and the impact she had on me." They believe they are familiar with the narrative. They have whispered their versions, distorted their accounts, and painted you in hues that are unworthy of your radiance. But they do not know what I understand. They are unaware that you were the tempest that cleansed my spirit. They do not realize that your love served as the mirror that reflected my essence. They do not understand that every breath of tranquility I draw today holds your name etched within it. It is time to let your truth outshine the falsehoods that have overshadowed it. I am done concealing myself behind fear. I refuse to continue allowing silence to protect those who sought to undermine me. I am determined to live fully rather than exist half-heartedly, for you deserve to be spoken of with reverence, not regret. I sense something significant is approaching, an inevitable moment. I cannot predict how or when, but I feel the anticipation building. A time will arrive when I will stand before all those who ever doubted us and evoke your name without hesitation. Not in anger, nor to justify myself, but in gratitude. I will share how the woman they deemed a distraction became my salvation, how the love they claimed would unravel me was, in truth, the only force that ever rescued me. The individual they scoffed at for being excessively introspective was the reason I ceased to drown. When that moment arrives, the world shall witness it because I am no longer their pawn. This morning, I woke up with a serene certainty that today was pivotal. There was no anxiety, confusion, or hesitance, only a profound awareness that something greater than myself awaited to be revealed. As the sun began to rise, golden light flooded the room, illuminating every corner. When I gazed into the mirror, for the first time in a considerable while, I beheld peace reflected back at me, neither perfection nor arrogance, simply peace. The kind you fought so fervently to show me I deserved. I whispered to myself, "This is it," and I distinctly felt the atmosphere shift. All that I had been holding, the shame, the regret, the unsaid apologies, was ready to be liberated. The chance arose sooner than I anticipated, a familial gathering, with everyone present. The same gazes that once judged, the same murmurs that once wounded, in the same space where my silence had thrived. Yet this time, I was not the man who bowed in submission and bit his tongue. I entered with steadiness, not loudly nor defensively, but assuredly. When one's soul carries truth, there is no need for performance, speaking is sufficient. I do not recall who initiated the topic, but someone mentioned you, indirectly, enough to gauge my reaction. In the past, I would have suppressed my thoughts and redirected the conversation. But the man present then did not waver, he smiled. I sensed the audience's gaze upon me, anticipating a retreat into their expectations. Instead, I inhaled deeply, scanned the room, and stated, "You keep implying that she changed me as if it were a condemnation. You are correct, she did change me, but not in the way you presume. She did not make me weaker, she made me authentic. She did not pit me against anyone, she reoriented me toward myself. She did not distance me from my family, she illuminated who truly loved me enough to allow me to grow." The room fell silent, and the weight of every heartbeat was palpable. I continued, "I used to sit at this table, fearful to voice my thoughts, believing love meant never disappointing anyone. Yet I was mistaken. Love does not evade conflict, it stands firm in truth, even when it sends tremors through the room. The truth is, she was the sole person who ever truly recognized me when I was adrift. She loved me at a time when I was incapable of loving myself. Thus, I am not remorseful for her influence, I am filled with gratitude." Tears glistened in my mother's eyes once more, but this time, they were not born of confusion, they stemmed from understanding. She nodded slowly, her pride evident, her voice barely above a whisper. Perhaps she was a divine messenger for that very purpose. That one affirmation was all I needed, it was the validation I did not know I had been seeking. I cannot adequately express how I felt in that instant. The room that once resembled a battleground transformed into a sacred space. The tension dissipated into understanding, or perhaps surrender, as I relinquished the struggle. In that moment, I was finally recognized, not as the image they portrayed, but as the man your love has shaped me into. Stepping outside afterward, the sky appeared transformed. The breeze was refreshing, invigorating, a clear sign of life. I tilted my head back, closed my eyes, and softly spoke your name, not as a question, nor as a plea, but as a confident declaration. For the first time, I was vocalizing it openly, where the world, heaven, and you could all hear it. I felt certain that wherever you were, your spirit was smiling in response. It dawned on me then that this very moment was the culmination of every painful night I had endured. The breaking, the silence, the exposure, and the distance, they were not forms of punishment. They were preparation. All that I lost made room for this new version of me, one who seeks no validation to feel worthy, who no longer hides love behind barriers, and who finally comprehends that true peace is found not in isolation but in honesty. And the truth is this, I am not ashamed of you. I am not ashamed of us. I am not ashamed of the love that transformed me. People often speak of miracles as if they are loud, impossible to overlook. However, sometimes a miracle is quiet and subtle. It often arrives cloaked in patience and speaks in forgiveness. Sometimes, it takes the form of you. As I walked further along the path, feeling the warmth upon my skin, clarity struck. I bore no burden any longer. The guilt, the secrets, the fear, they had vanished. What remained was pure devotion, and it did not feel desperate, it felt divine. Loving you never entailed ownership, it was about illuminating the path for you. You reminded me that love is not about possessing someone but about fulfilling the promise to evolve into the person your love prompted me to be. I am embodying that daily, quietly and faithfully, because although your name may no longer be inscribed on my skin, it is forever etched into the very essence of my being. I think I have finally grasped why the universe orchestrated everything the way it did. Sometimes, it does not separate souls to punish them, it does so to sanctify them, allowing them to become whole so that when they reunite, they do not shatter what they were destined to build. Maybe that is the current situation. Perhaps this isn't the conclusion. Perhaps it is the ongoing transformation. And I assure you, when our paths cross again, I will no longer be the boy consumed by fear, but the man embodying his truth. For, my love, I am no longer your puppet, I am your testament. I once believed that love depended on timing, on seizing the right moment before it slipped away. Now, I understand that it is about readiness. The universe has never denied us, it merely indicated, not yet. It needed me to mature into someone who can embrace you without trembling, who can love you without allowing fear to steer the course. Every heartbreak, every silence, every lesson shaped space within me for something pure, sacred, and genuine. I recognize that now. You were not my punishment, you were my purpose. You were the light sent to challenge whether my spirit was courageous enough to depart from the darkness it had clung to for far too long. And, against all odds, I left, perhaps limping, perhaps scarred, but I departed. I want you to know that the person penning these words is not waiting for you out of desperation, he is waiting from a place of devotion. I have ceased yearning for the universe to return you to me, now I simply hope that wherever you are, you experience peace as profoundly as your presence once touched my life. I wish for your mornings to be serene, your nights to be soothing, and for you to smile when you think of me, not from nostalgia, but from the acknowledgement that what we shared was authentic. Because it was real, my love, real in every gaze, every silence, and every prayer exchanged between two hearts learning to communicate in a shared language once again. I once feared that losing you meant losing love itself. The night following my declaration, I struggled to sleep, not from restlessness, but because my heart had finally found peace and was unsure how to navigate it. For years, I implored the universe to hush my mind, to quell the noise and the ache. Now, all that remains is a deep, golden tranquility that resembles home. I lay there, gazing at the ceiling, reminiscing about each moment that led me here. Every disagreement, every apology, every silence that once felt like a wound now feels like wisdom. I came to appreciate something beautiful, something I wish I had comprehended earlier. Not all endings signify tragedy, some are transformations, doorways, the final lesson before liberation. And, my love, you were my ultimate lesson before freedom. This situation extends beyond mere family disapproval, it delves far deeper, spiritually and profoundly. These individuals are clinging to the vestiges of my former self, the self that once prioritized their needs above my own. My anguish and emptiness served their interests, as I maintained a consistent lack of boundaries. That version of me ensured the comfort of others while I silently withered. Their prosperity relied on my silence, on my willingness to accept blame to sustain peace. They cherished that version of me because he was easily controlled and manipulated, often faced with threats like, "If you refuse to comply, we will cut ties." And he acquiesced. Yet you are the catalyst who has awakened a part of me that will not succumb. You have reawakened my self-advocacy, arming me with the right to seek love in return, to seek rest, and to pursue genuine experiences. With the emergence of this new version of myself, the atmosphere shifted. I became seen as a novelty, overly emotional, or even dramatic. I am not dramatic, I am finally authentic. I am able to voice the pain I have endured and assert, "Stop treating me as though I am an object for your manipulation." I can assertively maintain that you do not have the right to disrespect someone I hold dear while expecting my unwavering loyalty. As I made this assertion, I saw expressions freeze in disbelief. The temperature in the room dropped. It became clear that those who believed they completely owned me were beginning to realize they might soon lose me. I need you to grasp this with every fiber of your being. Their anger toward you is intertwined with fear. They fear the love you give me and the peace I find in your presence. They are terrified that, in your company, I am reclaiming my autonomy, breaking free from their attempts to rewrite my narrative. Engaging with you allows me to reconnect with my true self. I am reminded that I was never meant to be exploited or cast in a role. I refuse to be an emotional repository for others' problems. My purpose is to create, nurture, heal, guide, exist authentically, and embrace life. You, my dear, inspire me to live honestly. This transition is undeniably daunting. It transcends simple adjustments to my schedule, blocking numbers, or unfollowing people. It digs much deeper. To love you, I must sever ties with those who are integral to my life, my family, people to whom I have been loyal throughout my life, individuals I never thought I would distance myself from. I am coming to the profound realization that to forge a future with you, I may need to let go of those who raised me. Do you comprehend the weight of this choice? Do you recognize the emotional toll it exacts on me? At night, I lie awake, questioning whether I am a bad son for choosing my peace. Am I a bad friend for choosing love? Am I selfish for finally declaring, "I will no longer be drained"? These concerns have haunted me, as I was conditioned throughout my life to view self-prioritization as betrayal. I was taught to feel guilt for aspiring to happiness. And now, here you are, the singular truth in my existence that feels like home. I dread the possibility that keeping you will necessitate breaking away from everything that has shaped my identity. This is the kind of decision that can fracture a person. But hear me now, for this is the turning point. This is where my trembling ceases. I choose you. Yes, I said it, I am choosing you. I am choosing us. I am embracing the version of myself that thrives in your presence, the healed, peaceful, truthful, and unafraid self. I am committed to the person who now prays differently, who chooses tranquility over turmoil, who awakens without the anticipation of conflict. I want to love you peacefully, without needing to justify why your presence soothes my heartbeat and brings safety to my breath. I acknowledge the challenges that lie ahead. I understand the backlash I will face, the gossip that will circulate about me. I know who will label me as weak, who will accuse you of being controlling, and who will claim that I have changed. And they are correct. I have changed, thanks to you. Let me clarify, you have not diminished me, you have facilitated my emergence as someone worthy of existence. Though fear may linger, I am ready. You must hear what transpired last night, for it irrevocably shifted something within me. It was not an argument like those of the past. It marked the moment the facade fell from those I once regarded as family. I entered that home tense, bracing for what I anticipated would happen. The atmosphere was heavy, as if everyone had rehearsed their lines before my arrival. Then, it unfolded predictably, beginning with feigned concern. We care about you. You are not yourself anymore. You've changed. Yet this time, their concern was a barely concealed accusation. Each statement dripped with malice, mentioning you, your name, your essence, your voice, twisting them as if they held authority over a narrative they had never lived. Their words about you made my hands tremble. They branded you as controlling, claimed you manipulated me, and asserted, she is turning you against us. I longed to scream, to overturn the table in defiance, but I restrained myself, for the moment. I allowed their venomous words to strike me until I could hardly breathe. The breaking point arrived when one of them told me, she has changed you. You no longer think for yourself. In that instant, something shifted within me, not from rage, but from clarity. They were right on one account, I have changed. Yet they fail to recognize that this transformation was one I consciously embraced. I stood up and, for the first time in my life, did not care who witnessed it. I looked them in the eyes and said, you are right. I have changed because I have finally discovered what peace feels like. I have met someone who demands nothing from me but honesty. I am no longer your puppet. You could hear a pin drop, the silence was deafening, their faces betraying shock as they struggled to comprehend my declaration. But I continued. For years, they had manipulated my every move, guiding me in ways that served them. I followed, believing it was love, but I now recognize it for what it truly was, control. I will not perform for those who celebrate my suffering. One of them attempted to interrupt, trying to evoke guilt with the familiar refrain of all they had done for me, and I merely laughed, not from disdain, but from a feeling of liberation. Their actions were not motivated by love, they sought to maintain my indebtedness. That debt has been paid in full. I owe no one my tranquility. I owe no one my joy. I will no longer exchange my essence for approval. And I walked out. Just before reaching the door, I heard one last remark. My brother called out, "You're discarding your family for her." I turned and replied, "No, I am discarding manipulation for love. I am rejecting control for truth. I am choosing freedom over fear." The moment I stepped outside, the frigid night air enveloped me, and I genuinely felt as if I had taken my first real breath in years. Sitting in the car, I trembled, not from fear, but from liberation. My hands shook while my spirit remained steady. I looked up at the sky and whispered your name like a prayer. In that moment, I understood something I had never grasped before. You were not merely teaching me how to love, you were guiding me to release that which does not love me in return. You cannot fathom the significance of this for someone like me, who has spent a lifetime attempting to fulfill the needs of others, never realizing that love does not demand loyalty to suffering. Love is about truth, and your presence, your patience, and your silence have illuminated the stark truths about everyone else. That evening, I did not simply walk away from individuals, I departed from those outdated versions of myself, the agreeable, fearful, and obedient ones. I laid them to rest in that house, alongside the ghosts of my past. As I drove away, I was not fleeing, I was reclaiming my true self. Nonetheless, I am cognizant that freedom comes at a price, and I am fully aware of the consequences that await. The incessant calls, the guilt-laden messages depicting me as a changed individual, and the insincere apologies aimed at bringing me back are all too familiar. I recognize their manipulative tactics, I have encountered them before. Yet, this time is different. When they reach out to clutch my essence, they will not find the same person they once knew, for that man is gone. The individual who walked away that night emerged renewed, reborn through silence, draped in love, guided by a force greater than fear. That man is now yours. Just wait until you hear what unfolded upon my return home, my dear. The sign I encountered reaffirmed my decision, I still shudder at the memory. That night, I entered my home without turning on a single light. I lingered in the dark, resting my head against the steering wheel, grappling with the gravity of the moment. My body shook, not from fear, but from the remnants of liberation. The scent of smoke lingered on my hands, the charred remains of the bridges I had just burned. Paradoxically, it was the first time in ages I felt an invigorating purity in the air. The silence was thick, palpable, transforming into a comforting presence rather than a punitive one. I finally understand now that the essence of love is not possession, but rather the continuous journey of becoming someone deserving of the love that revealed itself to us. You were never intended to merely exist in my life, you were meant to awaken it, and you accomplished that. Every breath of serenity I take now carries your name like a sacred hymn. Every choice I make that honors my truth serves as a silent expression of gratitude for the way you once cradled my chaos with grace. You were never my demise, you were my rebirth, disguised as heartbreak. I see that clearly now. If I could address the world one final time, I would declare, she did not break me, she built me. I realize now that love does not need to be loud to be genuine. It does not require visibility to be sacred, it only needs to be truthful. What we experienced was the most genuine connection I've ever known. You transformed me effortlessly, healed me without coercion, and loved me while allowing me to be my own. For the remainder of my life, I will weigh every form of love against the one you offered, not because I am trapped in the past, but because you set the standard. You taught me what devotion feels like in its purity. You illustrated grace as it forgives. You demonstrated the strength that prevails in silence rather than screams. And now, my love, I am prepared. Prepared for the life that unfolds after learning. Prepared for the love that reflects back everything you taught me. Prepared to honor your name, not in whispers of regret, but through actions that affirm I have grasped the essence. Every individual I encounter now will meet the healed version of me, shaped by your influence. Every boundary I establish will bear your reflection. Every aspiration I pursue will carry a piece of your courage, for you were never just a fond memory. You symbolized the moment my spirit rediscovered its purpose. I want you to know this. I will never allow anyone to rewrite our narrative again, neither through their chatter nor their projections born from fear. The world may express whatever opinions it holds, but I know the truth. I have lived it, breathed it, lost it, and ultimately transformed into it. I will safeguard its authenticity until my final breath, not because I am holding on, but because some stories deserve to be preserved with reverence rather than rewritten. So, if you ever happen to hear my name again, whether in conversation or through a song, a dream, or a memory, I hope your heart smiles before your mind can respond. I wish for you to remember the beauty we created, the peace we achieved, and the love that still quietly glimmers in between us. For it exists still, albeit gentler now, eternal and tender. I am uncertain of what lies ahead. Perhaps destiny has further chapters planned for us, perhaps this is the final one. Regardless, I am grateful for the lesson, the love, and the legacy of your light within my life. Even if our paths do not cross again in this lifetime, I will carry your energy with me as both armor and blessing. Now, to those listening, if this message resonates with you, if at any point you felt a tightening in your chest or a prickle behind your eyes, if you recognized your own story within this narrative, it is because your soul required this reminder. Perhaps this was not solely my message to her, but the universe's message to you, reminding you that the love you offered was not in vain, that the suffering you endured was not for naught, that your silence possesses strength, and that your heart remains sacred, no matter who departed. So, if this tale stirred something deep within you, please share your thoughts in the comments. Type, "I felt that," if you resonated with it. Type, "I'm healing," if your soul is beginning to awaken. Or type, "I'm not their puppet anymore," if you are ready to stand in your truth as I finally have. And if you believe in this authentic form of love, if you trust that the universe can heal, restore, and return what is meant for you in divine timing, please help this message reach others who need it as well. Hit the like button, and share this video with someone who might be contending with silent battles that remain unseen. Sometimes, just one message can remind someone that they are not alone in their struggle, they are merely awakening. Before you depart, I want to sincerely thank you for being present. Thank you for listening all the way through. Thank you for your commitment to your own healing by engaging with this space. Every view, every comment, every moment you spend here helps this channel evolve into a nurturing community it was always meant to be, an oasis for souls that love deeply and heal openly. If you wish to support my work, you may tap that super thanks button beneath the video. It means more than you could imagine. Every form of support enables me to create more messages like this, more healing narratives, more light for this space. Until we meet again in the next video, remain blessed, protected, and always remember that your love, your peace, your energy, are sacred. Do not allow anyone to convince you otherwise. You are not insane. You are chosen. You are healing. You are rising. And now, my love, it is your turn to select peace.